Environmental, I mentioned a little bit earlier about thermal, temperature, water, stuff like that. We were down in a company in southern Florida one time, or mid-Florida, and they use a lot of water, DI water. And every morning they would come in the next morning and they would have servo problems. There's water pouring in all over these servos. And in the morning they would have problems, but in the afternoon they would not. Every morning they would come in and it would take them a while to get going. Keeping in mind there's water sprayed all over the servos. What do you think was happening? Why was it working worse in the morning but better in the afternoon?
Condensation, temperature low.
Condensation, temperature lower, you're getting close.
When the motor cools down in the evening, it sucks in the water.
That's exactly what happened. Every night they would turn the machine off, the motor was warm from running all day, and then droplets of water around any seepage inlet to that motor, it would suck the moisture in. The next morning they come in, yes, it was condensation, but it was from the water that sucked in from being, condensing and cooling inside. Okay? So I looked at it and I said, they asked me, are your motors going to do any different? I said, no, not the way you're putting your motors in there. Okay, in this case they had Control Techniques and Yaskow, or Emerson, which, Emerson motors under Control Techniques, and Yaskow. And they were having encoder feedback problems on almost every one of them. And I pulled the connectors off, and I looked at them and I said, look, you got water in the connector. He says, yeah, but it's not supposed to get inside the motor. I said, the problem is you got water in the connector. Okay? I said, you're shorting out stuff. Oh, no, it's DI water, it's clean. I said, let me tell you something about DI water. It sucks in oxygen because it's really oxygen-free. It's deionized. Okay? As a result, it's a sponge to oxygen, and the things that get in there and get trapped actually throw it even worse. I said, take all your connectors loose, go down to the auto parts store down the street and get dielectric grease, shove it in the connector, tighten it back together, and you're not going to have a problem anymore. Well, they were happy about that. They didn't have to buy our smart motors, but we didn't have sealed motors at the time anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. Okay? So the point being is, that's a case where contraction of the gases inside the motor at night led to a problem the next morning. If you're in a sealed environment, and we do now have in-series sealed motors, I don't just recommend, I'm saying, by gosh, you better put dielectric grease in the connectors. Because when it cools down at night, if there's nothing to displace the water from getting sucked into it, it's going to mess up and get inside of it. Okay? And in some cases, it gets inside the entire motor.